Musical Mind Podcast with your host, Peter Harris.
Hello everyone, welcome back to 10 Questions with the Musical Mind. This is Peter Harris with you, of course. This week we welcome singer, guitarist, and songwriter Jeff Kitselman, who fronts the band All From Nothing. All From Nothing is hailing out of Kansas. They are so excited to promote their new EP, Eyes to the Stars, and it's a powerful effort indeed. So we sit down with Jeff, we talk about his songwriting and how that's changed with the addition of new songwriting partners. A new group is coalesced around the core songwriting of Jeff, and how the new EP has impacted their lives, where they plan on going forward, and how they're planning on conquering the world long term with the band. So sit back and learn something from Jeff Kitselman. Hey Jeff, how you doing today?
Great, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. So much. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here.
Good.
From afar.
Yeah, from afar. Now, I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and you're in what part of Kansas?
Yes, I'm in Emporia, Kansas, between Wichita and Kansas City, kind of in between all three, also Topeka. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. I've driven through Kansas a few times. It's not real fun to drive by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Not at all.
No, I used to live in Colorado, so a couple times I made the trip by myself, driving from the Front Range back to Atlanta, and it's kind of a dull drive.
We're lucky that we've got some trees, rivers, at least in our area where we're at. But yeah, the Western Kansas is really hard.
And that's the same way with Eastern Colorado. There's no people think it's all mountains. It's just like Kansas, the first half.
Half of the state, yeah.
Well, I want to talk about your debut EP. Congratulations, by the way, Eyes to the Stars.
Yes, thank you.
And that's you, Sage Thurston on drums.
Right.
Gabriel Maruda, right?
Yep.
On lead guitar, and Josh Pavlik on bass.
Correct. Yep.
Perfect. That sounds good. They great sound. The sound is polished. I mean, it's a really good set. It's produced well. And got several things to ask about that. You're doing videos for songs. What do you think? I know you've got Jump, Burning Trees, and Space, right? For years, videos kind of died out. I mean, because we all know MTV stopped doing them 20 years ago. Do you think like YouTube and all that, it's really kind of revitalized that as a promotional tool for music, especially with independent artists and stuff like that?
It definitely has. Just advertising on Facebook. We first posted our EP on Facebook, just the songs, and we would get a few people to look, but the videos, and I've asked a few other people that kind of do the behind the scenes stuff with the marketing, digital marketing, and they said it's over 1,000%. I mean, the number is incredible when you post a video and the feedback that you get, the responses, the people viewing it versus just posting a comment or something.
Yeah,
or a link.
It seems to be true. I mean, even on for my blog and my podcast, seems a lot of times I'll put a video up as well because it really engages people more. They want to watch something.
Right.
They want to see me mess up
emotions. Yeah. I'd rather watch the video than read the book, I guess. That's kind of that.
Right, exactly. Now, one thing about your videos, like the video Space, I want to know personally, was it strange? Because like in Space, you're not just lip syncing and playing. Like you're actually acting in the video.
Right.
Was that awkward or weird for you? Or do you have any kind of background or experience in that?
Yeah, no, it was a little awkward. It was my first time. We actually had a male actor that was supposed to do the video, and he canceled on us just a few hours before the shoot.
That damn Brad Pitt.
Yeah. So I decided let's do it, and gave it my best.
No, it completely came across as polished and professional. It's a good job. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that answers that. I wondered if you had like maybe a background in theater or something, but because it totally came across good.
Good. I took an acting class once in college. One class.
It paid off, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, now I'm assuming All From Nothing has, from what I know, evolved from your earlier incarnations of the band.
Uh-huh.
In with All or Nothing, I think was your original band title.
Yes.
But now you're co-writing with Sage, your drummer.
Right.
Prior to that, were you doing all the songwriting yourself, or majority of it?
Majority of it, yes. We had another guitar player that's no longer in the band, and that's really where the band started from the get-go. Was me and this other gentleman. We were playing together. We just decided at the end of it would have been, I don't know, 2 years ago. Decided let's just jam. It had been a long time. We both had not done anything in a long time, and we just hit it off. And that led to one thing to the next, and Sage came aboard at one point. But so yeah, most of the music was written by myself in the early stages, but I did have some other help there as well.
Do you think it will change the songwriting process some?
Not a whole lot. Really, bringing Sage in sped the songs up. We were the style. What I like is what I'm playing. Mm-hmm. He just kind of brought in another dynamic. Gotcha. A little bit more of that punkier, a little bit faster speed to it. That is what it is today.
Yeah, and it definitely shows that punk influence in parts of it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now, who were your early musical heroes?
Oh gosh, my first, without a doubt, would have been Guns N' Roses. I was 12, 13 years old, and got that first cassette, Appetite for Destruction, and I just loved it. I mean, every song was just something I'd never heard before. With that,
it's a monster album. Yeah,
it was. As a 12-year-old too, hearing it for the first time, it was incredible. My parents actually took it away from me after they heard a few of the lyrics in there.
Right.
But I ended up getting it back, and that was a big one. Early on, it's a lot of the stuff when you're 12, 13 years old, especially back in the day when you didn't have the internet. Right. You listen to what your parents listened to. So sure. I grew up on rock. Both my parents did like rock. Anything from Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, really all the 80s music, whether it was Poison. And then Nirvana came on scene, and I was in Nirvana country, and so that was just a natural thing for me to just fall in love with all the alternative grunge sound that came in.
From Washington, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Seattle. I grew up in a small town called Montesano, Washington, which is home of the Melvins.
Buzz.
Yep. I actually worked at the same grocery store, Thriftway, Pick Right Thriftway there in Montesano. That's where they all met together as a band and did their thing.
That's pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, it was a neat little deal. Yeah, yep. And then started taking guitar lessons at 12. I was writing my own music at that point without knowing how to play. And then my first guitar teacher was actually Kurt Cobain's guitar teacher, Warren Mason out of Aberdeen. I only had him for a few months, but it was kind of a neat experience, to say the least.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely. Now, when you're writing, like at the very beginning of your songwriting process, like what's usually the germ of the idea for you? Is it a lyrical idea? Is it a chord progression? Is it just a story you want to tell? Or
usually I more times than not, it's really probably the chord progression.
Okay.
If something catches my ear, I'll play around with it, and then I'll just start throwing out some words just to come up with harmonies. And so then I'll come up with my melody, and then I'll decide what am I going to write about, and then I'll put it all together.
Okay.
And it's always worked out really well for me. Now with Sage come aboard, he's written a few of these songs where he's already got the guitar parts, everything kind of laid out, and he'll just tell me this is what I want the song to be written about, and I'll get to work on it, and then I'll add my own little pieces to it as well with it.
Now, does he play guitar?
Yeah, he does. I mean, he can play everything: guitar, bass.
Okay.
He can sing. In fact, he does sing some backup vocals for us as well. And he plays the drums, and that's right now he's primarily playing the drums.
Gotcha. I've always wondered that because I've heard, when I hear musicians that write a song but they don't play the other instruments, like how are they writing it? That just seems so abstract to me. Like how do they, are you just coming up with? It's going to be an A, B, CGE chord progression, but just leave it up to the guitar player to actually come up with? Are they arpeggiating it or throwing in fills, or are they actually writing everything? It's just hard to conceptualize if you don't play it. I don't know.
Right. He's very, very talented. He can also he's got all the recording equipment to be able to do just a basic EP or a song track, lay it down. And that all is definitely helpful, because then we have something that's of quality that we can take to the studio then too, and make our tweaks to it as well.
Right. Okay. Your song, Burning Trees, you got kind of a social issue going on. Do you think of the band, do you think you'll have be a band with a message, or do you kind of just leave that open to whatever inspires you at the time?
You mean, I'm sorry, what do you mean as far as each song, or that song in particular?
Well, that song in particular, obviously you're talking about bigger issues. Do you think you'll, all from nothing will be a band with a social conscience?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. A platform of some sort.
Yeah.
I hate to speak for everyone in the band. Those words were all written, things that are important to me.
Sure.
That definitely where I come from, as far as my thoughts on things, issues that bother me, that concern me.
Right.
And that's where that came from. As far as the whole band, most of the guys, I feel like we've got a pretty strong sense of who we all are.
Right.
We're still kind of learning. But I would say that song portrays overall, I would say, kind of our stance, our platform.
Right.
Whether or not we, where that pushes further ahead in the future, it's hard to say at this time. But I enjoy writing about things that mean something.
Sure.
And that's a song that means a lot. I've got another song that has some similar ties to it that hasn't come out yet, that we'll be putting out sometime in our next 3-4 months.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think I'll keep coming back to that. I've been writing songs similar to that, even as early as 10th grade, 11th grade, when I was just a sophomore in high school.
Well, I think that's probably the genuine way to do it. You don't need to be, we are this type of band, just the things that just are naturally important to you are going to be what you gravitate towards. So that's probably the more honest way to do it. Yeah. Right. And, you're not speaking for the band, but I think people tend to, well, you would hope, affiliate with people that have their basic same values and stuff. If you're writing about, environmental issues, Gabriel and Josh probably aren't between shows pushing burning tires into the ocean.
Right. You'd hope not.
Right.
Yeah, you'd hope not.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Now, let's see. I'm jumping around in questions here a little bit, trying to get myself confused. Now, how Eyes of the Stars, the debut EP, how was it recorded? What I mean by that was, were you guys in a room together? Were you separately recording digital tracks and splicing them together, or how was that done?
Yeah, actually, it was kind of an interesting one, and that we were actually in a transition period with the rest of the band when we first went into the studio. We actually started going to we went into the studio, it would have been April of last year, of 2018, and I think at that time, we had a whole different group of guys. And so it was actually me and Sage and two different guys. And Sage and I decided we were going to take it upon ourselves to get this laid out. We felt like if we didn't have music to put out there, obviously it's going to be harder to play shows. It's going to be harder to build our fan base and to really push what we were wanting to do. So we kind of took it upon ourselves. He went up there to Kansas City, an hour and a half drive. He's got a friend up there, Nick Thornton, who did the recording. He's in a band that's kind of starting to blow it up in the Kansas City market, and I think will be bigger soon. But he does the recording, and at least he has up to this point. We had Sage go in. Sage did laid the drum tracks, laid the guitars. Really had everything set up for me. We had already had our song pretty much written out. We knew exactly what we were going to be doing when we went in, and I just did all the vocals, and it came out really well overall for us.
So you were in a studio and doing it.
Yes,
gotcha.
Done in a studio, and we've got a couple more tracks with him that'll be coming out here again in the next couple months as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's good. Yeah. But I think talking about the recording process too, but another thing that seems to be of benefit to groups starting out? I mean, I know it's like they said, the music business has collapsed, and as far as revenue streams have been turned on their head. But one good thing about the internet and all that is you can start out of Kansas. You don't have to pick up and move to LA or Nashville or Seattle or these days to get discovered. You can just put yourself out there.
Right.
You couldn't do that in 1986.
Absolutely. You'd have to be where the scene was.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about a lot of those older guys, in Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. The guys, I know that Warren DeMartini was the guitar player for Rat, and he tells her about how he just packed up a suitcase. Like he was still in his senior in high school and just drove to LA. Joined some band, yeah. Didn't even know the rest of the guys, and just when you look back on it, it's kind of asinine. It's like it's not downright dangerous, but
taking a lot of risks there, huh?
A lot of risk. Of course, they don't tell you about the other 8 million people who did it and just were homeless. But,
right. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Now, given your choice, there's no wrong answer here. It could be both. What's more fulfilling to you, the creation of a song or playing it live?
Ooh. Oh. Playing it live is the ultimate high.
Okay.
It's the ultimate high. But I mean, the creation of the song itself, it's therapeutic. It's putting things that have hurt me, that have bothered, that anything that just creates emotion within myself, and laying it out. It's the best kind of therapy that I know.
Sure.
And
I'm sure it's cathartic. Yeah.
It is. So that I love doing that, and as scary as it is to play for people, because you don't know what they're going to say, what they're going to think of your music. Ultimately, that there's no there's no better high than that I've ever experienced.
I can see that. I can see how getting the immediate feedback has got to be pretty A, daunting, and B, rewarding.
Yeah, very much so.
So any musical directions you think, because I know you're still kind of pushing this EP, and then you've got some songs unreleased, but everybody's always thinking, especially artists like that, are there more musical directions that you're looking to explore that, like, I haven't done one of these yet, I'd kind of like to do something with a more of a keyboard laden thing, or a reggae groove, or
that's tough, because I love a lot of different kinds of music. Right now we're kind of at this quandary of some of our stuff is kind of almost alternative pop, rock feel, or pop punkish, and then some of it's a little bit darker. And I know that you listen to a lot of the bands that are out there, and you don't hear, most of them have one sound or the other, not really a combination of going back and forth between the two.
Right.
So we're bouncing back and forth between the two, kind of trying to figure out who are we. And at the end of the day, I love both of it. Both styles.
Right.
If you got on my Pandora and looked at what am I listening to there, it's completely different from that even. I love some just soft indie rock, Lumineers style.
Totally, yeah.
And most of my songs that I've ever written, I actually wrote on the acoustic guitar. That's kind of been where my creativity starts, is on the acoustic, and then I'll switch things over to the electric.
Well, it's a way better litmus test to tell if it's a good song.
Right.
If you start off something just drenched in reverb and it's all effects, it could sound cool, but you can't strum it on the beach.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to do more recording, learn new songs or write new songs, starting with the electric and different sounds and whatnot. The keyboards, I'd love to. I mean, we've talked about as a band, we'd love to have some keyboards in our music at some point. Whether or not it happens, it's hard to say at this point.
Yeah, it's different though, because you play guitar, and so you've got two guitars in the band, so you don't have as much of a hole to fill up. Do you hear me? Yeah, I mean, like you don't have that gap. Like if if it goes into a solo, they've still got you playing chords. It's if you got one guitar player, you almost could use keys more. But I mean, you could fit it in, but you're not as limited as some straight 4-piece bands, right? Now, as far as 2019, what are your plans as touring wise, release of new music? I mean, what's on the horizon for you?
Yeah, we'll have another EP out sometime between March and June. Is our plan. We'll have whether it's 5 or 6, I'm not sure. Song EP. Probably have a single or two besides that that'll be coming out.
Cool.
On top of that, we're playing some shows in the Kansas City market right now. Just again trying to build the fan base locally. And then our goal is to hopefully to get on some touring. Whether that hopefully probably summertime would be most likely when we'd be pushing that. But that's our goal. We want to do this for a living, not just for our hobby. So getting it out there more and more, especially using the internet, social media, the more people that respond, and when we get a good response, the more likely our dreams are going to come true of being able to do this all the time.
Yeah, that's great. And I would think it's a lot of bigger established acts do a lot of like drop-in tours where they don't necessarily cart, or if they're doing clubs, they don't cart around an opening act. So
right.
In Kansas City, they'll have this opener, so that might be the kind of thing we work in. Like you don't necessarily open up for X, Y, or Z for 6 months. You open up for them on these 2 dates, and
right, yeah, kind of strategic touring, I guess is what you call it.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of people are starting to do that, but.
Yeah.
That's really cool. The stuff sounds great. Go ahead. Let me ask you, for people who don't know, what's the best way to find you? Like your Facebook page, your website, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Facebook right now is our biggest platform, and obviously all from nothing on Facebook is the best way. But yeah, we're on Instagram. You can reach us there as well. We've got a website currently with Reverb Nation. Okay. Again, all from nothing. Email, anyway, we're just pretty much if they're looking for us, they're gonna be able to find us. Yeah,
gotcha.
We're on YouTube, so
I'll have to look you up because I have a linked page on Facebook for my blog, but I'm actually more active on Twitter and things like that. So yeah, my Facebook page, I shouldn't say neglected. I go in there and I'll post up a new post for it, a couple times a week, but then I'm not really. So I'll have to look you up on there because I need to engage that more than I do. But
well, and I was just told this weekend that I need to engage more in the Twitter, so I'll probably start posting more on there as well.
Well, I'm following you on Twitter, so yeah.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Okay, there you go. But yeah, so I'll do the same on Facebook. I'll look you up there.
Perfect.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'll be looking forward to hearing more stuff and just keep us in touch with what's going on, and we really appreciate it. Yeah, it sounds great. I'm a fan, so. Thanks for
appreciate it, Peter.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes, it's been a great time talking to you.
You too. Bye.